Time to get real, reality TV aficionados. Welcome to the Giorgio Says podcast. I'm your host, the one and only Giorgio Takanakis, and I'm here serving you the juiciest updates on all your favorite reality shows weekly, as well as the hottest pop culture trends, and even exclusive interviews that will leave you wanting more. This podcast will keep you on the edge of your seat. We definitely need to talk about this. The Giorgio Says podcast starts now. All right, my friends, welcome to another episode of Giorgio Says the podcast. Yes, my friends, it is Monday already. Can you believe it? The weekends just keep going by super fast. I feel really puffy today, you guys, like so puffy, but it's my own fault, and I'll tell you why, okay? So, I don't normally share too much personally about myself, which I think I should start doing more. I feel like you guys ask me a lot of questions in the DMs, and we have very personal conversations that I would be fine to have on the podcast in public. I don't have much to hide. So nonetheless, in the last year, I would say my partner and I have really taken a stance on health, wellness, fitness. And so we have been regularly working out in classes with our trainer for almost a year at this point. With that, he had to have some diet changes based on some things that were going on with him. And so therefore, because he's the cook out of the both of us, we ate very clean, which I was fine to do. It wasn't even a thing because I'm very go with the flow. I know a lot of people would probably assume the opposite, but I'm very much go with the flow. I'm not very picky about stuff. I will say what I don't like, but it's very few things that would hold up the fort, if you will. Anyways, so this weekend, for the first time in a very long time, I was craving some sugar, okay? I was really craving some sugar, but not just sugar. I was looking for something specific. I wanted Sour Patch Kids. I wanted the Nerds gummies. By the way, you guys, never buying those again. Not because they're not good, because they are too good. And the crunch of the Nerds on top of the jelly, like the gummy bear or whatever the gummy thing is perfection. And I ate the entire family size bag in less than 2 sittings. Disgusting, I know. But on top of that, I decided to indulge myself in not 1 pint. No. Because Giorgio can't just have 1 pint of ice cream. I had 2 pints of ice cream on Saturday night, on top of half of the family-sized bag of gummy Nerds. And then I had a handful of the Sour Patch Kids that I did buy, but realized I like the Nerds better. So it's my own fault. So I have been inflamed. I feel bloated and just all out of sorts. So this is why I probably look a little puffy. Like I've retained a lot of sodium. I don't know. What am I even talking about? It's Monday. We have Potomac to discuss. Not that it was the most eventful episode, because again, when this season has Potomac actually had an eventful, entertaining episode? Because I can't remember when there was an episode that I was like, wow, that was a good episode. But before we get into the Potomac of it all, we do have some updates on the Portia and Simon situation. We also got some news out of Orange County that I think some of you will be very excited to hear. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into some quick tea. All right, my friends. So we do have a bit of an update regarding Portia and Simon. As I mentioned last week, Portia decided she was pulling the plug on their marriage after 15 months. Now, this is just days after the two were spotted together via their Instagram post, looking like they were having the best time of their lives. But in between that, we did get some information that surfaced about Simon's ongoing citizenship debacle, drama, whatever you want to call it. A lot of it has to do with what a lot of the legal documents state were things that were fraudulent on his part, and this has been going on since the mid-'80s. And a lot of people speculated, this was the reason that Portia pulled the plug on the marriage, right? Because it doesn't seem like he's going to be getting his citizenship here. It seems like when you start throwing words out like fraud and, unauthorized use of vehicle and this, that, and the other, it's not looking good for Portia and her brand. So I would assume part of the issue was the protection of finances on her side, right? Because if she's married to someone who's going to be in trouble for fraud or whatever the case is, she's going to be as responsible financially as he is. I'm just guessing that's how it would go. So I would assume that her people were like, hey, look, y'all can still bang if you want, but legally on paper, you guys need to be far away from each other because you don't want any of this to impact you and the things that you've worked so hard to build. Rightfully so. However, the Neighborhood Talk, shout out to the Neighborhood Talk, they did post a story about Simon regarding some additional information that may have been the actual reason that Portia would have pulled the plug. Like, that could have been the final straw for her to say, hey, listen, I can't do all that with you. Because now this is a whole other plate of pasta that I'm not really interested in. But the Neighborhood Talk posted about Simon Gobadia was hit with a lawsuit from a private jet company for breach of contract and failing to make payments. He owes them close to $1 million. They say that Simon is facing this lawsuit for breach of contract with the private jet company. And this private jet company kind of works, I guess, like a timeshare. And back in December of 2020, he decided to buy a timeshare with the private jet company where at specific times and dates, based on how much money you put up, you're allowed to use the jet like a timeshare. But the jet is not yours. Like, you don't own it, just like a timeshare. You don't own the actual condo. You can switch them out for different properties under that same umbrella. So it sounds like this is pretty much kind of the same thing. But the total amount that he owes, which is probably the real reason why Portia was like, yep, I'm done. We're going to have to legally cut ties here, Simon. It's $974,213.11 to be exact, based on these legal docs. But yeah, I think the divorce is just about protecting her money and assets. I do not think that she's fallen out of love with this man. I think they are still very much in love. I think they are doing this mainly to protect her, also probably to keep some distance before they start going into filming for season 16. I mean, she's got a plethora to pull from in terms of a storyline. She can spin this any which way she wants. So, I guess it's a good thing in that aspect. But on the other side, she's going to get a lot of questions regarding this because we never really got answers from the Fallon of it all. So I feel like it's going to be a lot for Portia when she comes into the space again. Hope you're ready to answer some questions, girl, because we're going to have them, I'm sure. So yeah, that's the update on Simon and Portia. We also got what might be some exciting news for a lot of you Tres Amigas fans out there, that Vicky has been spotted filming with Real Housewives of Orange County. That is right. She initially was not asked back, but now it seems with everything that's going on between the Tres Amigas, Vicky has been called to the carpet, and what was she going to say? No? Of course she's going to say yes. So I am digging my heels in to figure out what the reason was, what took place, what happened so far. The ladies are keeping it pretty tight. They haven't been filming that long, but there's been a few rumblings that have come up. But outside of that, there hasn't really been any information coming out of what's been going on for the new season of Orange County. But, my ears are to the ground. So as soon as I know anything that's worth mentioning, I will obviously let you guys know. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Simon and Portia situation and update. Do you think that they're just doing this to protect her assets? They're still together, or do you think Portia's done? Like, she doesn't want to go down this path. Also, let me know what you think about Vicky's return to Orange County, because it seems like we're going to get some cameos of her. And it may heavily have to do with the whole drama between the Trace and Miga. So it seems like we are going to have a box full of drama going right into this new season, because it was already hot going in when the cameras were going up. So I can't imagine that these ladies are not acting the wildest at this point. I mean, that TMZ video of Tamra, I need to break that video down. I did a slow-mo of it. A lot of you asked who was who in that video of Tamra dancing on the bar like Coyote Ugly. And, you know, I had posted it a little while back, but I meant to go back and kind of, you know, break it down, because it, to me, looked like there was something going on, like drama-wise. And so, yeah, anyways, I will find some time to break that video down if you guys so much care to know what the drama may have been in that TMZ video. Anyways, we have to recap Potomac. No, it's not the most extensive recap. I've been saying this for weeks. Every time I recap Potomac, I feel like I am a broken record. But I know a lot of you guys listen to the recap of Potomac. Thank you so much. Rather than watching the episode. I get it. Listen, if I wasn't doing this, I probably would have stopped watching it. Actually, I know I would have, because it's just getting really hard to watch. But we're going to break down the episode nonetheless. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk Suns Out, Buns Out. Golly Nutrition is an inventive, people-focused nutrition company committed to providing innovative products that make taking your daily supplements simple and delicious. Their products are formulated with quality ingredients you can pronounce and flavors your taste buds will absolutely enjoy. And at the core of it all, they lead with purpose. Golly for Good is an initiative committed to playing a profound role in supporting the health of our planet as well as our local communities. Learn more about their initiatives, such as B Corp certification, Vitamin Angels partnership, and Eden reforestation projects at their Golly for Good page. And if you use my special code, The Giorgio Says, at checkout, you will receive a special discount. Now let's get back into the episode. All right, my friends, thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate it. All right, let's talk about Potomac. I'm really done with this season. I feel like we can wrap this up. It does not seem like anything is happening. And I mean that literally. I know sometimes we get a little bratty with some of our franchises and we say, oh, nothing happened last night. But man, I'm going to think twice before I say that again, because listen, it's like every week I'm just like, whoa, really? This is all we have? This is it? Again, thank God for Mia and Karen, because what would we have? What would we have? My Lord, it is just so, it's like watching paint dry. Actually, I would much rather watch paint dry. It's more satisfying. At least you know what you're going to get out of that. This situation, anyways. Let's start from the top, shall we? Because when we left off last episode, Gizelle was crowning Nneka the new Grand Dame of Potomac, okay? Now, I also mentioned to you guys that Karen may have been throwing shade at Nneka, but she wasn't wrong, okay? She technically lives in a new added part of Potomac, so it's called New Potomac or North Potomac. And so she was throwing shade, but it wasn't like she was throwing shade at her house. It's the status of living in Potomac that Karen was shading, because typically most people that are from proper Potomac would consider where Nneka lives more like Rockville, Gaithersburg-ish, Damascus, okay? Still beautiful places, beautiful development. But let's call a spade a spade. Anyways, Candiace is not into this at all. So she goes into her room and mutters off some stuff about how it's like so petty and stupid that Gizelle does this time and time again. And listen, it is very juvenile, I will say, that Gizelle does these little antics to try to get a rise out of certain people, i.e. Karen, or, you know, trying to make herself look like the victim in the whole Wendy Candiace debacle. First of all, Nneka, I want to like Nneka, I do, but I really feel like she's just a fly on the wall who like was just brought in to set up an issue with Wendy. And now that's not getting resolved. So now we have just a bunch of people who are not actually engaging. But then there's moments, this is where I get hung up, because I feel like we are getting a mishmash of content, because in some episodes, Candiace and Ashley are not, there's no way they could even communicate with each other without fighting. But then, like on this episode, Candiace was being so gracious, so nice to her, Ashley, and they seemed like they were getting on or being cordial enough that Candiace would share something so nice in terms of, you know, basically helping Ashley stay motivated in this journey of hers, whatever that journey is, because it doesn't seem like she's divorcing Michael Darby anytime soon. But listen, I get it. If this is the man that has financially taken care of you, I get that it would be scary to just go ahead and cut the cord officially, because then it's like, well, what happens then? It's not like she's got some like other rich dudes lined up. She's ready to play with men her own age, and the men that she likes don't typically have Michael Darby money. So I get it. I do. And she should just be honest. I mean, she was sort of honest about it last night, but I wish she would just be honest in saying that there's not going to be a divorce. I don't think that they're going to divorce anytime soon. Like, they're going to really leave things the way they are, because then it gives Michael the control that he wants, and it gives Ashley the stability that she craves, and makes her feel like she's independent, even though she's really not independent, in my opinion. But yeah, so the whole thing is just so convoluted. So the ladies are in DR. Again, nothing is going on here. Just like Austin, we're just going from restaurant to hotel to restaurant to hotel. There's nothing happening. Nothing. We get the weirdest filler scenes, and you know the editors know when they're editing this, like this is absolute bullshit. But here you go. They're taking too long. Like, just get to the punchline, guys. I don't need to watch 30 minutes of women like sitting around essentially doing nothing and talking about nothing and not actually getting to the point. It's just everyone sitting around, and then they go off into their little corners and they talk smack behind the scenes with each other, but never collectively, never putting things out on the table to address and try to resolve some of it. No, we're going to just let it stay in its box and leave it where it is. And we're not going to have resolve, because some of us don't feel like we have to engage with some of these women, even though we're paid to be on the cast with them and be developing friendships. But nonetheless, some people clearly have a different set of rules. And I've said this multiple times. I think Gizelle and Robin, I mean, good for you guys. Good for you. You're collecting your check. Nothing's really being land-blasted about you or your families the entire time you've been on this show, with the exception of when I outed Juan's mistress situation when the show had already wrapped. So technically that doesn't count, Robin, as much as you would like it to count for you. It won't, because this season you didn't take any accountability, and the ladies did not hold you accountable either. So everyone missed the boat on this. And if they did, and we're just not seeing it, then it was a big miss on the producers and the editors, because that would have made this season interesting to watch. And I handed it right to you guys. I'm not really sure what the issue was. You guys started off on the right foot, but then you left her alone. So not sure what that is all about, nor do I care at this point, because the season's going to end and we still have a bunch of fires that haven't been put out and don't seem like they're going to be put out. And I really don't believe the reunion's going to be any better, because what are y'all going to do? Just sit up there and rehash the same stuff that you do every season at the reunion and never hold the right people accountable? So, you know, maybe things will change in the next few episodes, but it's not looking like it's going to get any better. So the ladies have dinner, and Gizelle is asked a question by Mia, because Giselle's daughter is going to a HBCU college in Florida. And if you've been living under a rock, Florida is a little bit wild politically right now. In terms of many different factors, but many of it was racial. And so Mia's question to her was, how do you feel about that? And Gizelle explains that obviously that has surfaced in her mind, but at the same time, it was really important for her daughter to go to an HBCU, because Gizelle went to an HBCU and she wants her daughter to be around the culture. She wants her to experience that as well, which I think is more than fair. And it is up to her daughter what school she wants to go to and where she wants to spend her time. Now, I am in no way a team Gizelle or team this or stand this person. So what I'm about to say might shock a lot of you based on my prior commentary around Gizelle and Potomac and all of that. But when Gizelle was talking about her daughter and that whole bit, and that, again, I said this in my other recap on TikTok, I don't know if this was specifically about the daughter, because I don't think it was, but I do feel like the looks that Wendy and Candiace were giving each other while Gizelle was talking, that Robin clocked, was rude and unnecessary. Rude and unnecessary. Only because I do agree that you don't have to like Gizelle and her behavior. And most of the time, I do not. But in this moment, she was actually sharing a real moment. And we don't get a lot of that with Gizelle. So I do think it was a bit rude for them to be, snarling looks at each other while she's talking about this, because it is a real issue and it would scare a lot of parents in this position. So, it kind of took the realness out of the conversation, because the looks were just, and listen, maybe they are annoyed about something else altogether and they're just sick of hearing her talk. Maybe they find her to be very phony, and maybe they didn't feel like she was being real in that moment. There's a plethora of things that I'm sure they will discuss at the reunion. But then it goes from that, and Karen brings up the issue that her and Mia have, Mia brings it up first, be like, well, why would you throw me out there like that and talk about my marriage? Right. And, Karen's whole point was, well, Mia, I brought it to you, to your face, in front of the group. I didn't go around talking about it behind your back to the group like everyone else here does. Right. And then she also points out to Mia that, look, don't forget, dear, I brought you into this group, meaning I brought you onto the show pretty much. So mind your words. And then Mia does what Mia always does. She pulls something out of her back pocket and reminds Karen, well, Karen, let me just remind you that I know a whole lot more about your situation that I'm choosing not to speak on because I'm a good friend. Well, this has Ashley and Gizelle and everybody's eyes are perked up, because they want to know what else is going on in Karen's life that we don't know about, that Mia seems to know a lot about. Because remember last season, by the way, I love the shady editors, because when Karen said, you went around talking about it to other people behind my back, and then they clipped to when Mia's saying it directly to Karen at the finale party. was just gold, because I don't remember Mia even talking about it on camera up until the finale party when she did address it with Karen. So I think it was the same. I think Karen's mad that she brought it up at all. Has nothing to do with it being in her face or behind her back. It was just, you shouldn't have said it at all. But yeah, so they have their little back and forth. Again, guys, this is another pointless dinner. There's nothing happening. We don't get to the thick of the issue that, Mia seems to know all this stuff. It's always like, oh, leaving us on the edge. We're going to say something, but not fully say it and not give all the information. So it makes it seem like there's drama, but like nothing. So that dinner was over. And so the next day, the ladies go to lunch, and like, it's just like all these like meals we're having and nothing's getting accomplished, when generally this is where the bulk of the shit is supposed to happen, is when we're all sitting down eating. They're just kind of like kumbaya and being fake and not wanting to talk about stuff. And then the people that do bring stuff up, Mia's the only one, you guys, that is actually trying to make stuff happen. She's actually trying. She's asking the questions. She's trying to get in there. And it's just, it's falling flat. Not because it's Mia, but because no one else is actually taking the cue and building off of it. So it's just really hard to watch. Mia asks Ashley, or doesn't really ask, but she says, listen, you are struggling with divorcing Michael because he's basically been your financial provider for so long. And so it's a tough thing to cut the cord on, right? And then it turns into, let's build Ashley up, right, in this hard time. And this is where I get confused about Candiace and Ashley, because in some episodes, most of them, they can't stand each other. And I'm not saying that Candiace likes Ashley. Maybe she does. Deep down, maybe that's why she tries to give her opportunity after opportunity. Like in this moment when Candiace so graciously tells Ashley that this is her time and that, she should, just building her up, just being nice, just being more than just a cordial peer or a castmate. But I feel like Ashley doesn't really care about anyone outside of herself, which is why she gets on so well with Gizelle and Robin, because they're all kind of the same mentality. They don't care if what they do hurts others, but be rest assured, if anyone did that to them, they probably would stop filming the show. And I wouldn't be surprised if Robin did, like in the middle of production, be like, I'm not filming then. If that's what all of you guys are going to keep bringing up, I'm not showing up. So maybe that was part of the problem. I'm not quite sure. I thought contracts were a little bit tighter than that, where you weren't able to just pick and choose what you wanted to show up for. But who knows? Maybe that was the case. Ashley at least is being honest in the moment and saying, yeah, it is tough for me. It's tough for me to cut that cord. Now, here's where it's wackadoodle time. So now apparently Ashley has a new song that she wrote and is going to be producing and releasing, called Healing and Thriving. And she sings a little bit for the girls. And, I'm not buying into it. I'm not feeling it. And it was, again, another stupid moment for Potomac. Like, I don't need these moments when there's not real meat on the bones. This is like frivolous, random antics that, yes, from a previews standpoint, is exciting, is entertaining when you clip it all together like that. But when you dig into this episode, you're literally in the sand. There's nothing in there. Where are we at? Okay, so they had lunch. They had their little kumbaya. We find out also that Mia had more liquid cash going into the relationship with Gordan than Gordan had. And she specifies by saying that when they met, he had a lot of assets, which in turn means money, but that she had received an inheritance that was cash. So when they both got together, she had more cash in the bank than he did because his money, to her point, is tied up in assets. Hers was not. Candiace was very surprised that there were stripper heiresses out there. I am also very shocked by this. Anything is possible. And what's wrong with being a stripper heiress? I think it's fabulous. Gosh. Oh, okay. And then from there, see, this is why, guys, this episode was horrible. There was like 3 actual scenes, but they split it in a way that makes it seem like there was all these different things that happened. So then after they eat, they all go and hang out on the beach and do these, like, again, stupid photo ops where then the editors make these horrible looking magazine covers to try to be funny, but like even the magazine covers looked like Paint Shop Pro on your windows. Remember the paint app that you used to have? Like a doodle. But nonetheless, we all have the ladies enjoying themselves on the beach. A little rest and relaxation, if you will. And Robin brings up to Gizelle, hey, do you remember when you were talking about your daughter going to the HBCU in Florida? And Giselle's like, yeah. And she's like, did you notice how Wendy and Candy were shooting looks at each other and making these weird faces? Because I caught that. Gizelle was like, yeah, I thought that's what was going on. And it's just another moment where Robin and Gizelle are trying to find any situation to justify the reason why they ice these two out. It's just too cliquey. So either we need new production people that are not biased to some of these women, or we need a reboot. Because I can't do another season of this. It's wackadoodle time in Potomac. I'm not sure what's going on over there. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. Some of y'all need to stay cast members and stop trying to produce the show because you're not good at it, Gizelle. You're not good at it, Wendy. Sorry, not Wendy. Forgive me. Robin. It's like, I don't get it. How are you guys signing off on these episodes? How did you sign off on this season? You mean to tell me that Andy saw this season even just halfway through and was like, yes, put it out. Top tier. Or was this is the scary part, you guys. Was this the best of the best that we got out of all that time filming? Because that scares me even more. That scares me even more. Because it seems like, okay, well, who's running the show here? Is it Gizelle and Robin? Because it doesn't seem like production's around. We got one whole scene off someone's iPhone 8 when they're all eating breakfast. Like, I can't go back. Like, at least shoot it with an iPhone 14 and newer. So it's a little bit more crisp. This was like on someone's like flip phone. Did you guys see that? So that was the episode. I know, so exciting, so eventful. But those were pretty much the highlights. I mean, there wasn't anything, and even that, those are not in another franchise's normal episode. Those would not be highlights. But you know what? That was episode 14. I can't imagine we have more than 3 or 4 more episodes until this season is done. And then we, hopefully they film the reunion soon. So that lets us know that they're going to come to an end soon with the season. Because I can't sit through this franchise on Sundays anymore. I've got ants in my pants, or I'm like super tired and would rather just sleep. But I do it for you guys because I love you. Anyways, listen, let me know your thoughts. Are you still watching Potomac? And if you are, am I alone on the island when I say that it is probably one of the worst seasons in a long time that we've seen? Also, let me know what your thoughts are on the Portia and Simon of it all, because wow, owing almost $1 million on a private jet timeshare type situation is crazy. Also, let me know what your thoughts are on Vicky filming with the Real Housewives of Orange County. What do we think of the Tres Amigas and the drama? Do you think that Vicky is coming on because of all the chatter that has happened between Tamra, Shannon, and Vicky this whole tour? Who knows? Sky's the limit, but I am excited for this one because it seems like they hit the ground running. So, but yeah, that's all I got for you guys on a Monday. But I hope you guys have a great start to your week. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And until the next episode, guys, I will talk to you on the next one. Bye.